Hello, my name is Keita Ahmed and you're watching rptv. On today's show, we will be bringing you a report from the Planning Committee meeting of the Social Development Plan, the SDP, on October the 19th, 2023. The Regent Park Social Development Plan, also known as the SDP, is a community-wide initiative aimed at fostering unification and community collaboration. The Social Development Plan is constructed by 4 areas of priority. These including community building working table, the safety network, employment and economic development, and lastly, the communications table. During this meeting, several significant items were discussed, including the upcoming stakeholders table meeting, spring meeting planning, and the facilitation guide for future discussions. Additionally, budget considerations were reviewed with revisions made to allocations for food, entertainment, child minding services, Freshco gift cards, and miscellaneous expenses. This meeting played a crucial role in shaping the strategic direction and action priorities of the SDP stakeholders table. Now let's go to the meeting.
Okay, folks, October 19th, this is the Planning Committee meeting. I will be facilitating today. Can I ask someone to read out the purpose of the Planning Committee meetings?
Happy to do so.
Thank you. Would you like me to zoom in, Adonis?
Sorry, I'm fine. The purpose of the planning committee. The committee makes recommendations to the SDP stakeholders table on strategic directions and action priorities, committee alignment, coordination, stakeholder, and resident engagement. By supporting the SDP stakeholders table to ensure that meetings are effective, supporting the 4 working groups to be prepared to report at the SDP stakeholders table meetings, address requirements and our requests that need a quick response, identifying information and our expertise that stakeholders require in order to make sound and informed decisions, developing facilitation approaches that increase the capacity of all stakeholders to engage in discussion and decision-making.
Thank you very much. So the next standing agenda item we have is review of agenda. So I'll just quickly read out the agenda items that we have planned for today. So like I said, the first thing we're going to discuss is the stakeholders table meeting, which we'll be talking about the budget. There's an idea for having prizes for an SDP quiz to educate attendees. The agenda of the stakeholders table meeting, as well as the task list, which I need help on. I need input. And the next item is beginning to host planning committee meetings virtually, in person, or hybrid. This will be an interactive piece suggested by Gail. So we'll have a brainstorming session on this so everyone can look at the pros and cons, and then we make a decision based on that. The next item is deciding on a spring meeting date. The reason why I have an asterisk next to it is because this does not have to be decided today. So if we end up spending most of the time on the stakeholders table meeting, which is a pressing matter, we'll skip over deciding on spring meeting date. And the one after that is facilitator list. I do have a facilitator for next week, Ibrahim Afra. So we can also postpone this item, excuse me, until next week. Working group reporting back to planning. So this is on the discussion that was had a few meetings ago when it was briefly mentioned about having working groups to invite working groups to come back to planning committee to give some sort of a status report. And we have an update from School of Cities, capacity building, presented by Waleed. Waleed said there is a deadline approaching, and so we'll be talking about it then. I believe the deadline was about the course that they have some sort of registration, Waleed, but I'll let
November 20th, yeah.
Yeah. And then we also have a standing agenda item, or last item, is the SDP survey. Let's move into our first agenda item. So the first item we have, stakeholders table meeting, the budget. So Joe was nice enough to share the progress report budget. So this was the meeting that happened in May when we had Catch the Flavor launch, the hard copies being shared. We had live entertainment that meeting, so I hope everyone can recall where the kebabs were amazing and were finished that day. So we have a copy of that. I created a copy of the document that Joel shared so that we can make edits to this. Let me make sure that I'm sharing my screen and not just that tab, or the entire window rather. Yep, perfect, so we can see this. So I'll zoom in a little bit because the font's a little small here. So going right down to the expenses, we have food, entertainment, child minding, Freshco gift cards, which I think were door prizes that they were part of the raffle prizes, if I'm not mistaken, and miscellaneous. Miscellaneous, I imagine, was the cost we paid to Daniels for the setup, tear down, the audio video equipment, staff, and the cleanup. So we have for food, $1,600. It was $16 per person. We calculated for approximately 100 attendees. So for food this time around, cost will most likely change. But in terms of attendees, is it fair to assume that on November 27th that we would have about 100 people attend?
I think so.
So we have a yes from Marlene. So do we all agree that it would kind of be the same? Is there anyone that thinks otherwise? No? Oh, who's this in the chat? November 27th. Okay. Yes, November 27th. Joel, go ahead.
I thought we had 40 people last time.
We had 40.
We had more than
Didn't
that.
I hear that?
No. We had more than that. More than that.
Does anybody remember how many we had?
I thought there were 70.
We should
Sorry
check with the
for-
registration.
Could
Okay. So I'll check registration. I did see a registration document in the same folder, so I'll have to go find that and I'll check. And then I'll use that as a baseline of number of people to expect. Joel, is that a new hand or old hand before I go to Ines? Or old hand? Ines, go ahead.
Are you asking how many people approximately last time that went?
Yeah.
Well, there were people that were not attending the meeting. They were just passing through to go to their census, so they were asking for food too and to go. So if that counts, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I didn't see any of that.
Yes, there was, Marlene.
Okay, I
So-
take your word for it, but I didn't see it. Most people took their food and sat down.
No, I was helping serving.
Oh, I
And
know.
there-
I know.
And there was people that were not in those meetings. They just took food and left.
And you were sure they weren't there? Like, how did you ask them if they were in meetings? That's interesting. Okay. Take your word for it. You were there.
Ines, did you have something to add to that, or was that it?
No, that's it for me.
Okay. Adonis, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to affirm that's true. And again, I'm going to go back to Joel's point. Like, guys, we can't interrupt. We have to put up our hands if we want to speak. Thank you.
Thanks.
But yes, I agree that with Ines, that yeah, people who were there, a number of people were just hanging out and they came for the food, which is fun because it introduces them to the community. Whether they come back is another thing.
Yes, Joel. Joel, you're muted.
Actually, sorry, I just Adonis jogged my memory a little bit too. Oh, we have Healings One back. I don't know if that's you, Marwan, but welcome back. I thought maybe we'd lost you, so I don't have anything to say.
Okay, thank you, Joel. So I'll check the registration. I have that written down as an action item for myself. I'll check the registration and I'll see how many people attended. And we'll use that as a baseline to at least start getting our quotes and things like that for catering. And so we have that. Entertainment. So last time it was more of a celebration when we did it in May. And so we had entertainment. I'm wondering, since this is more of a meeting, right? It's a stakeholders table meeting, if entertainment will be required or not. I don't think so, but I'll let everyone here speak on that. I see Adonis shaking his head. Walid, yes?
I think entertainment, like while people are sitting down, getting their food, will be helpful. We can even maybe have a DJ just play some music. We have some Regent Park residents that are DJs that we could invite. But I feel like the presentations from the groups that receive funding from the SDP should be prioritized, and that's going to take a lot of time. Um, I'm I'm just worried about committing resources to entertainment when we don't know what the budget is. We usually have city staff at these meetings to advise us on how much money could be allocated for the stakeholders table. So that's why I'm a bit like wary about making any recommendations related to entertainment. But I do like the idea of having, some entertainment, not the entire program, but some entertainment in the beginning and maybe something at the end while people socialize and talk to each other. I suspect we're going to have a lot of new residents who are going to engage with the SDP at this meeting. So it'd be great to have food, enough food, not run out of food like last time. Marlene, you did a good job. I know you advocated so much for more funding for food, but we are going to see an increase in participation. I can tell because of the level of engagement we've done so far. So I think it's important for us to figure out what that budget is. And maybe this is a question for Joel or whoever is trusting the funds related to this activity.
Thank you. So we have Inez, Joel, Gail, then we have Marlene. Inez, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't think we should have entertainment. I agree what Gail put it in the chat, because it's half an hour to mingle, and then meeting starts at 6 to 8. After 8, people are already gone home. They have to put their kids to sleep for another day of school and stuff. So if we could use the money for something else instead of paying entertainment, good. The food, I think we need to get somebody because last time the food wasn't enough. If we get somebody else with the food that it will cook like something where it's enough for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Joel?
The only reason that entertainment row is even there is because we just carried it over from the progress report. So really it's not part of what we've done in stakeholders table meetings. So just to say that there isn't, we haven't done it before. On the other hand, if people think it is a good idea, I think for sure the idea that it not be like I'm seeing $200 in the chat, that it certainly not be more than that or not much more than that. I could go either way. I don't think it's necessary. But if we had a DJ for music and then also an SDP video, they wouldn't interfere with each other.
I also see, before I move to Gail and Marlene, I also have a suggestion in the chat. Ilona is saying that perhaps instead of using the money on the entertainment, we can just have more gift cards, right? To reward the residents more on to engage with them and things. Gail.
That lady Ilona always teasing my bright ideas, her bright ideas. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought we should do, right? We've never done a DJ for stakeholders table. So I agree it's something for the report back and not your stakeholders table. We need to engage the community. We've never had 100 people at a stakeholders table yet. The last one we had, if we were lucky, maybe 20 residents. The rest were organizations, which is expected that they would be there. And as is correct, people took food. Yes, some of them sat there and ate, and then they left. So in the middle of the actual meeting, if we had 10 residents in that meeting, we had a lot. And we actually had more organizations than residents. We also had some misunderstandings and mishaps with the food last time. And that really created harm for that entrepreneur. So we want to do things maybe a little differently so that that doesn't happen again. But, we've got a video that shows revitalization like way back. The previous one, that would be a great video to show. And there are a couple other videos that other working groups have that they use for different things. And those may be, again, just ways to engage and promote that message around the SDP.
Thank you. Those are great suggestions. I've written them down. I'm sure Joe's taking the notes of these as well. Marlene?
Yeah, I have 2 points that I like to talk about. First
Mhm.
of all, the food. I want to be really clear about the food. There was plenty of food ordered. There was the right amount of food ordered. This was a serious failing of the caterer who did it. She didn't bring all the food. She waited too long before she started, and she brought half of something else that she was supposed to bring. She only brought half of the meat and none of the potatoes. And we were scrambling to feed people. And I didn't realize this at first. I knew, and on top of that, she was 45 minutes late, and brought food before she brought plates. That's a caterer I'll never use again. That's the food, and should understand that the right amount of food was actually ordered, but she blew it, and she lost some money because of it. The second thing is with entertainment. I agree, not the entertainment. What's really nice is just for ambiance to have some sound, to have some music, which can be just, recorded. Just when we're not talking, there is some music playing while we're eating, or it doesn't have to be loud. It kills that deadened sort of space
Mhm.
by just having a little ambiance, which costs nothing. To put some tapes on the, whatever system. That's all.
I love this. Bring a radio.
Yeah,
We have
exactly.
Marwan, then we have Gil. Marwan, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for letting me speak. I'm very surprised at how quickly entertainment is getting shut down here. We struggle with engagement. Like nothing. It's so surprising to me. Like nothing has changed till now. Um, when I hear Marlene speak about music, I'm totally in support of what she's saying. Like we have to find better ways of engaging the community. I do this all the time with the youth. You have to meet them where they're at, where the interest is at. And I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. The content of majority of this community work is flat out boring, right? People are not getting paid to attend these meetings. They're not getting attend. They're not getting any incentive. You should make it more engaging. And if that's what it takes, music or adding some sort of entertainment, poetry, or whatever that looks like, showcasing community talent, at the same time trying to get information or trying to engage them. If that's what it takes, then I think we need to dig a little bit deeper and take that more serious versus shutting it down. Because you have to understand, people in our community are not really in these spaces often, and they don't enjoy them. So make it enjoyable for them, especially if you want to get information from them. Make it worth their time. So whether it be food, really, really good food, gift cards, entertainment of any sort, is what I'm saying. So thank you.
Thank you. Gil?
Yeah, I'm speaking really for the entrepreneur. I mean, we can't the what was said. I cannot be a part of the record. To say that we won't use that person again. Is wrong, because that's one side of the story, and there's another side to this story, which would be her side of the story. So we have to be careful that we don't just said someone is awful. Didn't do this, they didn't do that. And when you speak to that person, they said this is what transpired. And I think maybe that's an offline conversation, and not to bring it in this meeting to say they were awful and did they do things that were not perfect or not right or cause concern? Absolutely. But knowing that, they're not, most of the caterers here are not registered, not seasoned entrepreneurs. Sometimes a little bit of hand holding is the way to help them over the hump, and that many of them are in a learning space. I just think we have to be careful with the messages that we're delivering about them.
Thank you. Could I suggest that for the catering then, depending on which company we decide on, we just keep a closer watch on what's going on.
Please.
Even if it means reaching out 24, 48 hours before just to see if everything's in order. Because I do hear what Gail is saying as well, like especially if we reach out to somebody within the community, it'd be a good time for them to earn the experience. But I'll leave it at that. So we have Marlene and Waleed to speak. Marlene, go ahead.
I was on the phone with her almost every day, and we had I thought, a great working relationship, and I was very gentle with her. I have hired caterers hundreds of times, hundreds of times. If she couldn't do the job, she shouldn't have taken it. She started too late. Part of this I got from her own mouth. And you saw what happened. The people who were standing there at the food saw what happened. The food came 45 minutes late, and 20 minutes after that came the plates. We were scrambling to find plates. Don't tell me that's a good caterer, please. And I'm not letting her off the hook, because if she's inexperienced, Gail, you should have told me, because I went to you and I said, who are these caterers? Well, anybody, you knew I was hiring her. And you told me after the fact, well, that she's not very reliable. You said to me right there at the meeting, she's never been very reliable. She always starts late. I wish I had known that beforehand. I would not have hired her. So I'm not letting her off the hook. If she couldn't do the job, and we went over it and over it and over it of what was expected, and she blew it. She didn't even cook potatoes. I said, couldn't you have made some rice? Because that's fast. Nope, she didn't bother. She just came without anything. So don't expect me to, give her a lot of slack when I was hand-holding her the whole time. And I was good to her.
First of all, before I get to you, I commend both Gail and Marlene for doing the work. Obviously, having food arranged for so many people is not an easy feat, and it takes a lot of moving pieces. So I'll let Waleed speak on that, and then I'm going to move into the next item. We still have to talk about child minding and the gift cards that are here.
Yeah.
Waleed?
So I just want to, first of all, welcome Greg. Welcome, my friend. I'm glad you're a part of our meeting. And I just want to, encourage folks to be empathetic. Not everyone is perfect. People make mistakes, but we can learn from those mistakes. And we have a lot of caterers in our community that we can support. So I think choosing a different caterer while setting those expectations will be helpful, so that we don't have challenges on the day of food running out, which is the point I think that Marlene was trying to raise. I know that we are deeply committed to supporting our caterers in our community through all the events that we do through the SDP. The last thing that I want to say is I want to amend the budget based on the feedback we got from Ilona and other folks, specifically Marwan, about having more gift cards to engage residents. So instead of having 4 cards, can we double it to 8 cards? And that's $100, an additional $100, which isn't a lot. So that's $200 for the gift cards. And I think we should keep a DJ at this event. Let's do something a bit different this fall. I know when we get someone locally to DJ, they also tell their friends, they engage their fans who might show up to our stakeholders table, who actually might benefit from understanding the SDP and the working groups and the committees, and might want to get engaged in the spaces. So I'd rather that we do things intentionally, right? Like hire people from our community locally to provide child minding, a caterer to provide food, and a resident or someone from our community to provide DJing services. People will want to hang out before it starts, and they'll want to hang out after the event finishes. So, that could be an opportunity for people to have fun and not just be serious all the time. So that's the proposal I want to put forward. It's to amend the budget to increase the gift cards to 8 instead of 4. And I think it connects to the next item that we're going to be talking about, Ismail, which is a discussion we had at the Evaluations and Benchmark Committee, to seeing how we could use those gift cards to, as a raffle, to let folks have an opportunity to be educated or engage with the SDP more intentionally and its working groups and committees. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Just making that note over here. Gail, yes. And then we have Joel after Gail.
Yeah, I'm gonna say again that the information given by Marley was incorrect, and it's not fair to bring it here in the way that it was brought here. That is not fair, and that's not how you support entrepreneurs. That is wrong on every level. She ordered a specific amount, she gave that amount. And what did she do? And Inez is here. She decided she was gonna give people 2 of something. Right. So, we don't want to go on and on over this, but it is wrong to say something that is not true just because you are here to speak and that person is not here. You've just tarnished somebody's reputation. Why? Like, I don't know. This always seems to be this fight. Okay. Then, we talked to the thing about, we don't want to engage young people because we said, well, hey, we've never done that before. Is this the space to do this? Right. There's so many ways. And even Adonis mentioned as a way that you can actually engage young people by them bringing their talents. Always seems to be a fight, man.
Joe, you're next.
Yeah, I mean, I've appreciated hearing some of this discussion. At the same time, I do think that it was suggested that the discussion around catering from the last meeting, which is, that's several months ago, could be that could be addressed outside of this meeting. So I just recommend that happens, that it not get further discussed here. I just wanted, like, I'm taking the notes, and we've talked about a few different things. If we could actually have really clear what is the final decision we're landing on for how many plates, or what's the total budget for food, what are we doing for entertainment, what are we doing for gift cards? I'm not quite clear about that. If it's clear, just let me know.
Okay. So in terms of food, Joel, I have a meeting with Marlene, since Marlene at the last meeting said that she would help me with the catering part. So I'll be discussing with her, and then before that meeting, I'm going to find the registration that we had in May to know how many people, to kind of estimate how many people actually attended. And we'd be able to calculate the food costs based on that. So by next planning committee, I should have something to provide everyone in terms of the cost plus how many people we're expecting. And before that's set in stone, that'll come back to planning. In terms of entertainment, so you're right, we had multiple ideas. I don't know what our restriction for the budget is, but I love the ideas of having videos to, maybe we don't need sound in those videos, right? But maybe we just have the videos about the revitalization, videos from working groups. But if we may need sound if the working group videos do have speech in them. But I also like the idea of catering to the youth that Marwan proposed about, having the music, maybe looking for a DJ or instructing the DJ to have music that the youth would appreciate as well, and just to liven it up a little bit more. So for food, Joe, I will get back to you next week. In terms of entertainment, can we just, let's focus on entertainment right now. So videos, yes or no? I like the ideas of videos. Is there anyone that would say no to, or that's opposed to having videos from the revitalization and working groups? No one is opposed to that. Now, if we were to choose between videos and a DJ, where's everyone's vote now? So let's do, can I ask everyone to raise their hand if they would want a DJ to be present? Walid, are you raising your hand in favor?
Yeah, I don't think we have to make a choice. I think we can do both.
Okay.
We can incorporate videos that will showcase the work of the working groups in the formal meeting, so everyone pays attention. But we can also have a DJ before the meeting starts and after the meeting ends, to play some music while people are engaging with each other. And to set the tone. Like we want to make sure that the meeting has a fun and uplifting atmosphere, right? So and at the same time engaging with a local resident who's a DJ, so they could also promote the SDP, right? And engage youth in the work of the SDP, even if it's indirectly. Like while if they show up, then they could find out more about it and get more involved. So I think we can do both. I don't think we have to choose.
I agree with you. I agree with you. So in the notes, can we have that we'll be doing both? unless anyone is opposed to that, then, and seeing that no one's opposed to it, let's just put that down as our decision for that matter. For childminding, I don't know what the childminding situation was like last time, because of course childminding is not usually done in the same space, or maybe I just missed it entirely. Joel, yeah?
Just a suggestion that we name, like, who's gonna follow up on the DJ, that we don't necessarily need to default to the admin coordinator. It could be somebody else.
We'll lead, I
yeah,
see
We use
Brandon.
the DJ at Sun in the Park, Joel, so we could follow up with that.
Yeah, well, who's gonna do, who's doing it? Whose job is
I
it?
can follow up. I can take
Yeah.
that.
Thank you. And thank you for clarifying, Joel. So that's for the entertainment piece. Childminding. Is it okay if we have 100 attendees, we keep it the same? And then I'm proposing, if through the registration I find that only 40 people registered, then perhaps we adjust this. I don't know who was in charge of the childminding last time. Is there anyone here that has any recollection of the childminding from May? No? Okay, so I'm gonna, yep, Joel.
I did it.
Joel, do you remember if we were at full capacity with the childminding? Or would you say it's just safe to keep it the same? So over here we have two
think-
childminders for, or no, one childminder, 3.5 hours.
There was two. I
So-
think we should, I think we can even, we can be flexible. Like, we can make it 210 and maybe not spend all of it. Like, we'll spend it if we need it. And we have the registration form, and basically we'll make sure the ratios are the right ratios. It's depending on the age, it's from 1 to 3 to 1 to 5 kids per childminder.
Okay. Marwan, go ahead.
Yeah,
I
sorry, I
can
just put a comment
make
in the
that
chat
again,
in regards
if-
to
unless somebody
music,
else
but
wants to do it.
I want to bring up a separate point, which is the facilitators. It's very important to note that, people that facilitate meetings, like planning meetings and, the working table meetings, it's a completely different ball game when you're doing a whole community meeting. You have to find a personality that fits that too. I think, someone that can absorb the energy of the room, that adds to the points of engagement. I know someone like Gail has proven herself. I got the luxury of working alongside Gail in the EED table, and she switched how she facilitated and how she engaged the people to be more appealing. But that's something I think we also need to look out for and try to administer and try to implement, I think, in all future meetings. Something very important.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Joel, I didn't realize you didn't finish your point. I feel like you were saying something you would ask Marwan to speak.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Just I can organize childminding again, but if somebody else would like to organize it, that's fine.
You're a pro, my friend. I'm like,
Joel, I think you're stuck with it again. And Joel, there's a question for you in the chat from Greg. I'll let you respond to that once when you can. Joel, is this a new hand? I just saw another notification. Oh, never mind. Okay. Since, again, I don't know what our final budget is. I don't know how much money we have available for this, but since we're saving a lot from the entertainment, since we're not doing live music, I'm in agreement with Waleed about increasing the number of gift cards that we have to, again, readdress the engagement efforts that we have with the community. So I just want to ask, are we okay with raising the number of gift cards from 4 to 8? Is there anyone opposed to this? Okay.
Sorry, I agree. You said after when I.
So we have 2 people agreeing, we have 0 opposing, so I'm kidding. No, but I think it's a good idea. So can we have the notes reflect that, Joel? I see nobody disagreeing with that. Joel, you had a question?
Just again, so how's that gonna get organized? Have we said that? Is this
No, we have not. I thought this was part of the
lottery
raffle,
and just this?
but I'm not sure how this was
Oh,
handed
that's
out
already.
in May. Waleed, did you have something to add to this?
Yeah, so at the evaluations and benchmark committee, we talked about engaging members of the stakeholders table on the SDP's goals, its working groups, its committees. So basically, having a raffle with questions focused on the SDP. So that's where I see those gift cards going to as part of the educational or outreach that we're trying to do. I think the more raffle prizes, the better. More winners, more people getting excited about the SDP. And what I think we can do as an evaluations and benchmark committees, take this away and come up with those questions and bring it back to planning committee before the stakeholders table. So we want to engage new residents through this raffle prizes. And I see a comment from Greg related to the purchase of gift cards. So thanks so much, Greg.
Waleed, I see what you're doing there. You're slowly taking the work from here and slipping it back into me. Okay. But no, I like the idea that you and Dini were proposing about the quiz. So Joel, for the notes of, if you haven't already written down the notes for these gift cards, if you can just write down SDP quiz, and I'll be able to explain on that when that comes up again, for the purpose of engaging residents. So that's for the expenses. I need to figure out if we're going to be renting space or not. I did reach out to, what was her name? Oh gosh, Felicia White. So I reached out to Felicia White for TCHC space, as Kevin suggested last meeting that we do. I also spoke with Nahyan, who said he was going to respond to me tomorrow. Nahyan actually works for the city of Toronto. He organizes these spaces at the community center. And of course, we have Daniel Spectrum. Fareed said he will be getting back to me as well. He was just asking about some questions regarding if we needed staff or not. And I said that we will, because I don't remember us cleaning everything up. So I asked him to do that. Inez, is that a new hand?
Yes. So why don't you, normally with TCC, you wouldn't pay the spaces, especially when it comes to the social development plan. If you ask for 150 River, the space is big. So just, you want me to talk to Felicia? I could follow up with her. It's up to you guys, or you could go ahead and do it. I don't know. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
If I were you, I'll take on Ines's offer. She's
Yeah, no, definitely. But before we take up an offer, I think we need to decide here at planning if we want to do it at Daniels again, due to ease of access, familiarity with the space, everyone already having been there before, or do we want to host it at 150? And I'm thinking, at least for someone like Dini, who takes transit everywhere, 150 is in between Gerrard and Dundas, so it may be a little bit more difficult for her to access. But I can't speak for the rest of the residents. So that's a decision. Can we actually decide on that now? I don't think, I think this is a matter that it's not on the agenda, but we should come to some sort of a decision for this. Inez, can I ask you for your input, and then I'll
No, it's new, sorry.
Oh.
So the reason why I'm saying 150, because it is big, and Daniel's spectrum is getting kind of small for when people are starting to come in the chairs. And it makes it difficult for some people with scooters and stuff walking through it. I'm just bringing it up. We have to look for convenient for the people with accessibility and stuff.
You're right. That was actually a point that Sarah Jane even brought up last meeting. She was saying that it was difficult when she hosted the seniors adopt a grandparent, I believe the event was. And a lot of the seniors had difficulties maneuvering within that space. Waleed?
Yeah, I think it's important to look at the costs, so that the space. So if it's going to be a Daniel Spectrum, I can recruit some of my friends to volunteer to help out with takedown so that we could keep those costs low. We've had the SDP at the Daniel Spectrum, all the time. So many people probably might assume it's going to be there, which is something that we need to think about. But I liked Kevin's idea last time to try to shift it to a different location to engage with more residents. And maybe what we could do if we decide to go to 150 River is engage with the residents living at 150 River Street and invite them personally to that meeting. But we also have to think about registration, food. We don't want to have too many people show up and not enough food. It's not going to look good. So I would recommend we, maybe make that decision when you have all the details at our next meeting, Ishmael, because you haven't heard back from our friends at the community center, at TCHC, at within Daniel Spectrum. So why don't we get all that information first and then make a decision with all the information at hand. But we want to maximize participation of new residents so that the SDP is promoted widely in the community.
I appreciate your input. Point noted, actually. Jewel, did you have something to say to that? No? Okay, sorry. No, I just thought. Marwan, if I'm not mistaken, you had your hand up earlier. Did you change your mind?
Yeah, dropped it. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so let's hold off on the location until I have more details to share with everyone. Like I said, I'm talking with Felicia White, Nahian from the community center, and Fareed right now. So costs and availability, all the spaces are available right now. I don't know if things would change by next week, but I'll have numbers to share costs with everyone, and then we can make that decision based on that. But also, Inez brought up the valid point that it should be free for us because it is an open invitation. So if we do it through TCC, that will be free. So maybe 150 is a top contender right now. Waleed, I know we briefly, you already talked about this. This is our next item, the SDP quiz. Did you want to add anything else to that? Did you?
No, it was achieved by what we just decided, so we can drop that.
Okay, perfect. And just for anyone who wasn't paying attention, I'm just going to quickly reiterate. It was an idea of having an SDP quiz to educate attendees. So using the door prizes that we had planned, the Freshco gift cards, for example, and using that to kind of set up a quiz where we ask people questions like, what does SDP stand for? How many working groups does SDP have? To kind of see where SDP is in terms of awareness and within the community, but to also educate them at the same time. Now, Joe, go ahead.
But I'd like to suggest that it not only be about the SDP, but it also be about, say, the revitalization or Regent Park. It's a kind of a broader thing, and especially then those that don't know much about the SDP might know more about other things about Regent Park, and they'd still have a chance to win. And that could still be educational because there would be a number of questions about the SDP, so that would have that educational component still.
I like that. I just want to be cautious of the fact that this is because it's an SDP engagement piece. I think these ideas are good about including points about Regent Park and the revitalization. But let's see what evaluations and benchmarks committee comes up with and see if they can incorporate the Regent Park in the revitalization. And of course, I'll come back to planning and we'll see what happens from there.
So the quiz is going to evaluations and benchmarks is preparing the quiz.
Waleed, a member of the committee, has volunteered the entire committee to do that work. So apparently we are now. Yeah, but I don't think it'll take too long. So I don't see that as being an issue. So agenda. So I have a quick agenda. I use the facilitation guide of the progress report that we did in May and kind of revamped it to be our agenda for the stakeholders table meeting. So really quickly, I'm going to go over the first 3 columns and then I'll take any questions and then I'll go over the facilitator and facilitation steps. I realize the font's a little small. Let me zoom in a little bit. That's too much. Okay. So 5:30 was our progress report start time. Again, everything here is flexible. I'm just going to quickly read through and I'll take all your input. So 5:30 was the start time, or when people entered. 5:45 is when we officially started with the welcoming, the land acknowledgement, and introduction. 6 to 6:30, we have our first agenda item, which is the terms of reference. This is up for decision and approval. I still need to name the facilitator here. That'll probably be the co-chairs. Adonis, I see your hand. Just let me read through this really, really quickly. 6:30 to 6:55, we have shaping culture, which will be an interactive piece. And we have Seabog. Seabog gets, 20 minutes to give a status update to everyone for information. We have evaluations with 30 minutes to give the preliminary insights and an interim report for information. And then we have updates from the working groups. Right now, I have it set to 10 minutes per working group, so we have 40 minutes dedicated to that. And this again will be for information. And then one of the funded projects from the 50K is the tech library. And Denise has mentioned that she's already contacted the tech library to give us an update. So we have 15 minutes for them to provide some sort of an update. And any other funded projects will take another 10 to 15 minutes. And the facilitator for each of the funded projects would obviously be the project coordinator for said projects. Adonis, you had your hand up for a little bit.
Yeah, a couple of things. So in terms of, we have a voting process for the SDP stakeholders table. And since there are items that have to be voted on, decision-making, there needs to be some time to inform or re-inform or re-educate people on who to vote and what's the process of voting. And that will need to take some time as well as a sort of an introductory about the stakeholders table. I don't see that on the agenda at all for new people who are coming in. And you can't just launch into the first item. There has to be some kind of giving background information, letting people know about the stakeholders table, and then how people vote around decision making. The other thing I would add to that is and this is a question, doesn't the new leadership, the new chairs, have to be ratified by the SDP? And isn't that a decision as well?
Waleed, I see your head shaking. Could you respond to that?
Yes, Adonis. There's no ratification that's required at the SDP because the terms of reference is very clear on who are the co-chairs. So we have the full co-chairs being the executive directors network, ED network. So they've chosen Leah from YSM. Tenants Council has chosen Ines to be one of the co-chairs of SDP, and RPNA has chosen Marlene and myself. So it's very clear in the terms of reference. The decision that we do need to make at the stakeholders table relates to the terms of reference, to approve it, to validate that it's in order. It gives residents an opportunity to ensure that the terms of reference meet the goal of the social development plan, which is social cohesion, inclusion, and is up to date. The one thing that we are lacking is strategic planning. That was a motion passed at our last stakeholders table to provide a report back on strategic planning. We're going to have conversations with the city on how we report that item back. I know there's an SDP refreshed process that we're engaging in. So just to provide some context about what's required for approval and what's not.
Thank you. I have Ines first, and then we'll have Michael speak. Ines?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's in the stakeholders table. I know there is needs of co-chairs in different committees that they're looking for. And I think it should be brought in there.
Sorry, Inez, what do you mean by that? I didn't follow.
Because I know some committees are looking for co-chairs, right?
Okay, right.
So and I think it need to be brought in there, like even doing the survey that you guys, it's gonna be done, even saying, are you sitting in any committee of the SDP? Like, are you interested in sitting in certain committees and stuff like that, right? Because I think some people, and I don't know who was it that said it, that some people are not aware of the social development plan or the committees. So, I mean, there still has to be a lot of talk about the social development plan, that it's not really out there, and the need of residents to come to those committees and sit down and participate and listening to their voices. It's very crucial. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That's a good point. Okay, just goes to show how much work I have left to do on this agenda. In terms of reference, so we start off, I have over here the presentation, and then, so what is it? What does it address? And possibly read it for everyone, any changes that have been made, and then questions and clarifications from everyone. And then sorry, Michael, and then we have explain process of voting as suggested by Adonis, and then the decision. Michael, you had something to say earlier.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, the terms of reference is really the only thing we expected to have a decision on at this meeting, as far as I can tell, because the others we thought would result in decisions, but not necessarily at this meeting, because we wanted to have more of an interactive process for some of the other things that we're still working on. So hopefully the terms of reference will be in a position to be voted on or approved, hopefully without a vote. We have had a couple of times where like one or two sentences were amended at the meeting, so we should be able to handle that within a reasonable amount of time. If people really strongly dislike it, then I'd probably rather defer it than vote on it. But usually within the available time, if there's just like one sentence that somebody wants to add, then we can do that and still have a consensus. So I think that we should be thinking of the terms of reference as a decision-making item, but most of the other ones, I don't think so. I don't think they're not at that stage yet.
You're right. On this agenda, the only item that is set for decision is terms of reference. Everything else is basically information sharing, and the one piece about the interactive bit is shaping culture. But besides that, most of it is just information sharing. So you're right. So yeah, I just wanted to share the agenda with everyone a little bit. Still a work in progress. I just wanted to give everyone an update. I was hoping this would be sort of a working session to get everyone's input on this, but based on the feedback that I got so far, I am aware of what work needs to go into this a little bit. I'll do that before bringing it back, because of course we don't have that much time today to work on this item. But I will make sure that there's more details in here. So are we okay? Are there any more questions about the agenda or anything else that you think I should include before I bring it back to planning next week? Waleed, I see a smirk. What are we smirking about? Did I say something? Ines, go ahead.
Am I asking Felicia for 150 River? What's the deal?
I'll let you know. I'll let you know, because I'm also talking with Felicia about another matter. So I'm wondering if I can somehow, I want to build a good rapport with her if I'm trying to stick around.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, let's go on to the next item, the task list. So the task list for November 27th. So right now, I only have 4 items. I know when we were talking about the stakeholders table meeting earlier, there was another item that was brought up, but I've forgotten it. I need to go back to the notes to find that. So right now I have the agenda. The agenda, I will be doing it with the help of presenters, and I'll be using the presenters' help to kind of figure out how much time they would need to make sure that's appropriate. And I hope to have this complete, maybe not meet with the presenters because even that list is not final. But I will have more details for us next week. But the agenda probably won't be finalized until, I want to say, the end of the month even. So again, as a note, I need to meet with each speaker to fine tune their agenda. Catering, I will be meeting with Marlene on October 25th to work on that. Booking space, as we said that, we're currently in the works of that. Yes, Adonis, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, continue.
Okay.
I'll do it after you finish.
Okay. Booking space. So I am in conversation with Felicia White, with Nahyan from the community center, and Fareed. So to figure out cost of the space, if there's any cost, and availability. Right now, all the spaces are available. And once I have more information from them, I will let everyone here know. And I have a feeling that Adonis is raising his hand about this matter. Did you want to speak on this before I get into it? I just wasn't sure. I know Focus was there at the progress report, Adonis, which is why I had Focus over here, but I'm not sure if that's a Focus responsibility to support on this. So I'll let you speak on that.
Yeah, it is. That's fine, and we'll take care of that. And I'll get back to you on terms of the Wi-Fi. If we're doing a Zoom meeting, we have to ensure that the Wi-Fi has a upload speed enough for us to use. The other thing I wanted to add was in terms of the promotion, in terms of the poster, who's doing the poster, that thing. And on top of that, I guess there has been some talk of some kind of branding for the SDP, and whether the planning committee is okay for Focus to try to put some samples together and bring it to the next planning committee for input and decision making around that. So two different things. One is the poster for the event. The other is, do we need to think about a logo for branding SDP events and projects and committees and so on?
No, I appreciate that. So I have the poster here. I will leave the branding part out of this task list because this task list is for November 27th specifically. Joel, I feel like you have something to say in response to this. Go ahead.
I know that Focus has talked other times about the difficulty of doing their work outside of Daniel's spectrum, like getting all the equipment over there. And it sort of just occurs to me that maybe if we do end up wanting to go elsewhere, would one way to address that be to fund transportation for Focus to bring their equipment over? Just so that's a question I wanted to raise.
Adonis, any thoughts on that? Or
well, we need to know what the venue has, for instance, and if we're providing speakers and so on. But if the venue already has that stuff, I guess it's the speaker and the equipment for the most part that needs to be moved over. So I don't think a budget per se is needed except for borrowing a van or seeing who might have a van in order to do that. But yeah, I'll wait till we have a venue. How's that?
Yeah, that sounds good. Joel, does that answer or kind of address your concern? I see your head nodding, Joel, so I'll take that as a yes. Thank you. No, great points, honestly. I know for 150 River, I'll say this much. 150 River does have speakers, and I think it also has the proper hookup for a microphone and laptops and things like that. Last time I used the space, I had some difficulties, so maybe we can ask Felicia if we can have access to this space maybe a day or two in advance, and Focus, Adonis, I'm assuming that would be you, maybe check it out and see if they have the equipment that we need, and if not, we can arrange for some sort of a vehicle to take the equipment there. Any other tasks? Oh, and Wi-Fi. Yes, we need to ask them about Wi-Fi. Let me put that down on my to-do list. So looking at the tasks over here, obviously there's a lot of tasks. There's a lot more than what's over here, but is there any major tasks to include over here? I want to make this list as expansive as possible, or as encompassing as possible. So we have the agenda, we have catering, we have the space. So food is taken care of, space is going to be taken care of, and basically who's presenting will be taken care of by the agenda. Now, we're going to be doing a hybrid, so we have focus assisting on that. And of course, promotion. We need to get this out there. So we have a poster. So let's just talk on promotion really quickly. Are there any other ideas from promotion of this meeting? Joel and then Gail. Oh, never mind. Gail, go ahead.
Sorry, I missed some of the meeting. I just wanted to know, where did we land on food? And promotion is that we create a poster and share it in all the WhatsApp groups. And maybe, I don't know if you can ask TCAC to help with door drops.
Does TCAC do that, or is it the animators that do that? The door drops?
TCAC animators.
Okay. Got it. Door drops, group chats. There was another thing I was thinking. Anyways, when it comes to me, I'll put it down over here. So that's for promotion. I'm going to put the SDP quiz over here as well. I'm going to put Waleed's name in caps.
Funny guy.
Featuring evaluations committee. So, yes, Gil, go ahead.
I'm just wondering if you said quiz, and could we really not just open that up to Regent Park? Because we are talking about engagement. SDP is a small part of Regent Park.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a great way for people to get to know their community as a whole. So I think, I don't know, we used to do in EED, we used to do quizzes, yes, in between the meetings. So not just like one onslaught, but you do something fun, you get a gift card, you keep going, you do a couple more things, engagement again, you get a gift card. Who doesn't want to see that? This is also an opportunity because we have different projects happening. Can even just at the start of your meeting, can somebody do a testimonial? Or people, obviously my brain is in the entrepreneur and employment space, but I think about somebody who just got a job, right? To talk about that. 3 minutes, their testimonial of, hey, I just got a job. This is what I went through. This is maybe how the FTP did not help me. No, this is how the FTP helped me. Or, I did a course here and then I found I got this job and that course really helped me, that type of thing. Tells the story.
So the concept of resident engagement, am I correct, Gail? So engaging with residents by listening to their stories with their experience with the community as well as the SDP. Okay, let's see if I can make that fit in the agenda, actually. I'll write that down though.
This is a 1 minute thing, right? This is not, oh, you're going to get up here and talk for 20 minutes or 10 minutes. This is like 1 minute, 2 minutes. Here has been my experience. I am a resident. This is what happened to me. How can what happened to me uplift you, give you positive outlook or motivate you?
Okay, so possibly even limiting that to community successes, even.
Yeah.
Joe, go ahead.
I think that's a good idea, and I think that unless there's any concern about it, we should identify some people that will look for those people to give the testimonials.
Yeah, you got Mufisa, who just got a job, right? You got like a couple of people got jobs with the tech library. That may be an opportunity there because they're directly tied to the funding we've received, and they show the impact of the work that we're doing. There could be others. You had Sunday in the Park. It was a community building event, right? Again, not 20 minutes, but let someone who attended Sunday in the Park tell their story about how that was for them. Maybe their first time being there. I don't know if you find them, but just those small things. It brings the I am human just like you, and here's my story, and you can do it too. A little bit of motivation, seeing yourself reflected in someone else.
I know, I think that's a great idea. Waleed, Joe, did you want to respond to that, or is that an old hand before I move to Waleed?
Yeah.
If I could just quickly respond, I think it's a great idea also, and if we end up getting more people than we can handle in one meeting, we could actually make it a regular thing and say, well, we can't put you in this meeting, but we'll get you for the next one.
I like that. So keep in touch.
I like the idea that Gail put forward because it will help us demonstrate the impact of the SDP and the various events that have been held through the SDP. So I'm gonna reach out to Kishka, who's a very well-known resident. He emceed Sunday in the Park to see if he wants to speak or do a raffle during the stakeholders table. It'll probably even attract some youth to just get more engaged. So that's a really good idea, Gail. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I think that would be nice to see Kishka, our local YouTuber, host the meeting. I think that'd be good for like youth engagement and things like that as well. So I noticed we got 14 minutes left, and we have a few pressing matters, but I think we have time for about 3 more. So one, let's talk about setting up a meeting amongst co-chairs, planning committee being invited, any other member of the committee or SDP being invited. We need to meet to discuss about the remaining funds from CSI, and I believe this is a 2021 balance that we are discussing. So if we can please set a date today to meet outside. Originally, it was suggested that it was proposed that we do this at planning, but of course, at planning, we're trying to figure out the stakeholders table meeting items. So maybe we find a date to do this outside of planning. Are there any proposals for dates? I see Gail, then Waleed.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the ask. Is it that we have money from 2021 and we are trying to determine how we should spend it?
Correct.
Are we talking about the 50K?
Mm-hmm. From 2021.
Right. And we're not going to create any new buckets, right?
No, we are not. The buckets have already been decided, but it's just...
Okay. That's all I just needed to understand. That's it. Sorry.
Yeah, just one correction to that, Ismail. We do have business plans that were approved for 2021 that need revisions, and that's what the purpose of the meeting will be. So we want to revise the business plans so that they are within the scope of what was originally approved, right? And then getting the city to sign off. That's the information I received from Denise. And we've already come up with a business plan for recruitment of more residents to the SDP, market residents specifically, but we can expand that to TCHC as well. So I also want to recommend a date next week based on Denise's availability. Does Denise share her availability because she's a trustee? And Joel, I know you two have been in contact with each other about the funds. Could we, at least identify when Denise is available so we could have this meeting. Because I encourage Denise to show up to our planning committee meetings to speak to this item.
So Waleed, I think Denise did respond with a date that she wanted to meet, but she asked that the business cases be revised before meeting with her. So we need to come up with a date before that. Waleed, can I ask you to check the email? Because I know you were, like, I was only copied. No, you didn't get that?
Let me check. I'll check that email.
Thank you. I have Gail, Adonis, and Inez in the meantime. Gail? New hand, old hand?
Yeah, no, I'm confused again because I thought, I don't understand how we're in 2023. How do you create a business plan for a date that has gone? Right? Yeah. And then I think there was a lot of conversation last time about how is Denise leading this if she's not a part of this anymore. I thought this was here's the report back on what funds you have left and in what buckets, which I believe Joel gave to us. You put those in the minutes, unless I'm looking at the wrong years. But my understanding, again, 2021 is 3 years ago. So I'm not sure how you're going to go back and do the business plan now. But again, I don't understand city process. I understand numbers though, and 2021 is 3 years ago. So I would have already created my business plan and I would have already spent the money. I wish I had money that I had in 2021. Right? That's what, but again, I'm not a guru on the city's process. So help me, because I am very confused now.
I have Adonis, Inez, then Michael, then Waleed. Adonis?
Yeah, I feel the same way as Gail. I'm a little confused. All I know is that the bridge building piece had funds and the trustee is working around how that be used again. I don't know what the other funds are and whether it's Denise for was Denise or CSI, we shouldn't say Denise, was CSI holding all the remaining funds is my question. So all I know is the capacity building fund, was CSI involved with that, and was the barrier reduction fund that I see here now, is that CSI as well?
Yes, so all 4 buckets that you see there should be 4 buckets there total. All 4 is CSI, the same trustee.
Okay, thanks.
No worries. Inez, then Michael, then Waleed. Inez, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm the same with Gail and
Adonis.
Adonis. And who is we that made the decision about this? Like, we're going back to 2021. Like, I don't know. So my understanding, I thought it was that it was supposed to come to the planning table. What is it that you want to see this money go towards? Who is making this decision now for this? Is there another separate meeting outside of the SDP that we don't know of and making decisions for everyone? I'm just asking. I don't know. I'm confused. I'm lost. Because I thought that was Denise coming forward. That's why she was coming to the meeting last time to say how much was there, what is it we want to see, all that stuff. Well, what is it we want to use the money for?
Waleed,
and now there's already a plan already all set up. And we're just finding out this now.
Michael, I understand you're next. I was just asking Waleed to respond to Inez before going to you, if that's okay.
Thank you, Ismail. Inez, what happened was we were informed by Denise that there were funds in 2021 that were not used, specific business cases that were not implemented. She was deeply concerned about turning the money back to the city. So she basically encouraged the SDP co-chairs as well as the co-chairs of the various working groups to meet and to basically convene a meeting to talk about those business plans and revisions to it so that the money doesn't have to go back to the city. I am going to share the email from Denise. I'm just going to quickly share the screen. But before I do that, I just want to let you folks know I did try to bring this item to the planning committee. Once we didn't have, we were not ready to meet, so we postponed it. And at that meeting, Denise did show up to present. And then because we couldn't, continue with the meeting, left. And her feedback was like, let's try to find a space in between planning committee meetings to discuss this business plans, because it might take a lot of time, and then bring back recommendations to the planning committee to review and to approve or amend before approving the business plan. So I just want to reassure everyone that this item related to the 50K will come back to the planning committee for approval. There's no different process for approving it. We do, after we do approve it at planning committee, we do want to engage the city on it. So let me just quickly share this email. Michael?
Could I just say something to that? Because I know Denise did call me and I spoke to her.
Mhm.
And she said, and I said to her, Denise, we need to bring this to the SDP for the SDP to make those decisions, the SDP planning.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I
that's
agree
why
with
I'm
you.
getting at, because I don't know how this came about. I've already made a decision of business plans. That's why I'm asking, because that's not the conversation I had with her.
Yeah. No decisions have been made on the business plans at all. We're still
No, but sorry, Walid, but it's already made. It's already saying existing business plans from
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
But so there was no communication through the SDP planning to say, hey, what would you guys like to see where this money go towards?
Yeah.
It was already made, the decision. So why bring it to a vote or a decision making when it's already been made?
So there was that question posed by Denise at the first meeting that she showed up. It's like, where do you want to spend this money at? But we didn't finish the conversation. But can I just quickly, can you allow me to share the screen, Ishmael? Because
Yes,
this
I'll
is
just make you
important.
co-host so you can do that.
Yeah.
Michael,
Because I want to read out this email for Michael's sake as well, because he doesn't have
Okay.
access.
Let me know if you're able to, Walid.
So this is the email that Denise sent. Hey folks, the city is looking to talk about these funds, sharing with you so you understand that there is some pressure to resolve these things. As you can see from the email below, my attempt is to hold them off to allow for community process. You may want to meet next week. Otherwise, we have a deadline of the end of the month. The sooner we have the proposals ready, the more legitimate it will be for us. My very strong suggestion will be to set aside time at planning this week, or set up another community meeting as soon as possible to actually go through the planning form and create the proposals. I can meet with the SDP co-chairs to go over the proposals next week. I can find some time Tuesday or Thursday next week for this meeting. 2 flags for you as you go through this process. Please ensure that the proposals forms are fully filled out in advance of our meeting, and ensure that the proposals are aligned with the linked business cases. The city will be sure to verify this. Note, the focus shall mainly be on capacity building and barrier reduction. The tech money is mostly for the library and focused to support community access to meetings. I've been in touch with Adonis and Abdi to plan for this. Let me know if you have any questions. Looking forward to celebrating and taking this on as a project and seeing what comes back. So that's the correspondence I got from Denise. And to me, it's very clear that it has to come to planning committee to be vetted and approved. So I know it's almost 3 o'clock, so this may be something that we have to do next week. But I think the question to everyone on planning committees: are you free? Are you available in between this planning committee meeting and the next one to help put forward the proposals before it's considered by planning committee? Thank you.
Walid, thank you, Walid. Before we get into deciding the date, can we just have Michael speak, and then we have Joel and Gail as well. Michael?
So first of all, it's not clear to me why we're being asked to write business cases, because all of the money that Denise has under CSI was money that was allocated to specific business cases. So if we're supposed to now go and come up with new business cases, that means in effect that we're saying, well, let's reallocate the money and come up with a new business case. I just want to be clear if that's the reason why we're being asked to write business cases, because business cases were already written for that money. And I don't think the bridge builders was under CSI, but there were several projects that were, and we know that they have money left over. So the first question I have is, are we being asked to write new and different business cases for that money? Or are we just being asked to confirm that we want to still spend the money on the business cases that it was originally written for that money? That's what I'm most confused about. Once that's settled, then obviously as I am involved in one of those projects, I would expect to be at the meeting next week. There's going to be one.
Thank you, Michael. And Joel, did you have something to say?
Just that to let everybody know verbally, I need to leave the meeting. And that there are no new business. We are using the business cases that were decided on through the SDP for 2021. So that was an SDP process. It was all done properly. We just haven't actually implemented the plans. So anyway.
So then what are we being asked to do right now? That's what I would have thought. That sounds logical, but then why is Denise asking us to write business cases?
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think because the scope of the business cases may not be relevant now compared to 2021. Maybe that's one of the rationales. I've gone through some of the business cases on the Google Drive. So there are opportunities to update those business cases for 2023. So I'm assuming that's the reason, Michael.
Okay, before we end the meeting, can we just decide on a date, if possible, to meet? And Waleed, correct me if I'm wrong, but the meeting that she's setting up with the city is happening at the end of this month?
No, end of this month.
Okay.
So she's giving us about 2 weeks to come up with revised business plans that are within the scope of the 2021 business plans, to be very explicit. So update the business plans from 2021 for use in 2024, basically.
Gil, I'll come to you in a second. Could I make a suggestion? So there's a lot of items on this agenda that haven't been talked about. So perhaps at agenda planning, we can talk about the remaining funds. And that would serve, because that's the time already on the SDP agenda, or SDP calendar. And we can talk about the funding over there. Gil, did you have something to add before I ask if everyone's okay with that or not? Gil, you're muted. And nothing.
I personally like that idea because it's already designated time, and just maybe an invitation can be sent out to the entire planning committee saying that at the agenda planning, we'll be discussing that.
Yeah, can we have it emailed? That was my question, or shared, because, you know, people are like, oh my God, what were those 2021, 3 years ago plans? So maybe if that's the conversation we're having, or preparation, discussion, then we should prepare by having those links.
Yep, so I'll send out the old business cases to everyone beforehand. And are we okay with the idea of meeting here virtually during agenda planning? So I have a thumbs up from a lead. Yeah, I'm assuming that hand that's up was to speak. Okay, I have a thumbs up from Adonis. Michael?
Yeah, that's probably our best course of action right now. But I'm also not 100% sure which projects were trusteed by CSI. So you must have that list as well, because that's the scope. We don't have to worry about we do have to worry about the other ones. That's what was my other point, is there are other projects that were not trusteed by CSI, but were also not completed. So we do have other issues besides the CSI ones, but let's try to separate them, because trying to get CSI involved in something that they're no longer involved in is just causing confusion. So let's deal with the CSI stuff separately, but there are other projects that were not completed, and I don't believe that they were all CSI projects.
No, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, Michael. I've noted that down. And let's continue this conversation, because I don't want to take too much of everyone's time. The meeting should have officially ended 5 minutes ago. So are we okay? So I know Adonis said yes, Michael said yes, Walid said yes to using the agenda planning meeting to discuss the remaining balances and how we're going to move forward with that. Is there anyone opposed to that idea? Okay, I don't see anyone opposing to that. So today, and if I'm unable to find it, then by tomorrow afternoon, I'll send out the business cases to everyone for review. And I'll also send out an email to planning committee saying that next week's agenda planning will be used to discuss the remaining balances, and we can continue the conversation there. Okay, so I'll just move everything forward from today's agenda, the remaining things, to next week, so we don't have to discuss the agenda at agenda planning. Thank you everyone for joining today.
Would that be on the 26th?
That will be on the 24th. 24th at 3:30.
Okay, send me a Zoom.
Sorry, what did you say last, Alona?
I said, send me the Zoom.
Got you. I'll send it.
Thank you, sweetie.
Okay, folks, if there's nothing else to be said or add, we can end the
I
meeting.
got one thing to say.
Yes.
Bye, everybody. I love you. Mwah.
We
Love
also
you
have
too,
Adonis.
Lona.
One quick announcement, watch out the CSI, the Catch the Flavor monthly newsletter is coming out today. So
Nice.
should be out there. So just watch for it.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, everyone.
Adonis, I didn't forget to send you the changes.
Yeah.
I'm just sending it to you right now.
Send when you're ready.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please follow our social media platforms. And for more information, please visit our website.